The tiny island of Cuba is the most democratic nation in the Western Hemisphere. Don't believe me? First, let me explain. Cuba practices a form of democracy where all elected representatives are selected and elected at the local level, creating a national assembly. This national assembly then goes on to elect the officials who are above them. To further explain it, these elections start all throughout Cuba, in every district and every community, on Sunday always, to allow everybody the ability to vote. Elections are not fought for by political parties. There are no campaign trails, rallies, TV ads, and political financing of candidates allowed. That is all illegal. Instead, candidates must run and win solely on the respect and support of their local communities or from their coworkers. This ensures that everybody gets equal representation when running for office, and anybody can run for office as well. You do not have to be a communist to run in these elections. In fact, it is illegal for the Communist Party to interfere or influence the election process. They cannot run candidates. Instead, how this works is each candidate writes a single-page biography about themselves and they post it in front of their local polling stations for people to see. People enter the polling station, select a candidate at a private booth, then submit their ballot in a ballot box which is always guarded by children. The identity of the voters is protected by the casting of secret ballots, and once their voting is done, the counting begins instantaneously in front of the public's view, not behind closed doors. Any citizen can participate in the counting of the votes, and the winners are determined that very same day, unlike in the US where determining winners can take weeks or sometimes months. Those who win become members of the National Assembly of People's Power, which is the base layer of the socialist state. Currently, it holds 470 seats. Half of these seats are filled by ordinary people voted in from all across Cuba, while the other half is voted in from the employees of trade unions, student unions, and farming cooperatives. So you got half the assembly controlled by the public and the other half controlled by the working class. All of these representatives are held accountable to their workers directly by being subject to recall and replacement at any time by them. This keeps all the representatives loyal to the demands and interests of their voters. Now, the Assembly has the power to pass, amend, and repeal laws, debate and approve national plans for economic development with the state's budget, and the state's budget is basically the collective profits of the working class. That means the National Assembly can use the nation's collective profits and use it to finance social programs or community projects. That means they're using the wealth of society to develop the island's infrastructure in the interest of the people. Meaning the people of Cuba directly control and greatly influence the island's development by controlling the means of production with the state power, which is pretty freaking awesome. Now, twice a year, the National Assembly of People's Power holds long sessions with the top layer of the socialist state body, which the National Assembly of People's Power directly votes into power. Yes, you heard that right. The National Assembly of People's Power directly votes in the President, the Vice President, and the Council of State from within the National Assembly of People's Power. So the base layer pulls people from within and puts them at the top, and they reside here in what is called the Palace of the Revolution. Now, the palace is split into 3 sections, and the first section belongs to the members of the Council of State. The Council of State is basically just a consolidated version of the National Assembly of People's Power. It holds about 31 members, and together they exercise legislative power throughout the rest of the year when the National Assembly of People's Power is not in session. The second section is for the Communist Party of Cuba, otherwise known as the Central Committee. The Communist Party protects the Cuban Revolution from reactionary forces, interest, or sabotage. They basically prevent capitalists and imperialists from obtaining political power and using it to restore their order and serve their interest. Now, the final section is for the Council of Ministers, which holds the President, the Vice Presidents, and the Council of Ministers, which is directly elected by the President. So to recap, democracy forms a National Assembly of People's Power. The People's Power elects the Palace of the Revolution, and the Palace of the Revolution is protected by the Communist Party from corruption. They remove members with hidden agendas and suspicious intentions. And yes, I know what you're thinking. The Communist Party being able to prevent and remove specific candidates from the palace is most certainly problematic if your interest is having the purest democracy possible. But the Communist Party justifies this as being necessary to protect the Cuban Revolution from reactionary forces and suspicious figures in power. Honestly, that's pretty understandable, being that any strong opposition group in Cuba would result in full support from the US empire. Opposition candidates, without a doubt, would be bankrolled by US capitalists and global capitalists in general. These people have a long history of threats, plots, and active attempts at destroying the Cuban Revolution with the goal of returning Cuba to the neoliberal fold of the West. With that being said, having foreign powers greatly influencing Cuba's elections would not be a more democratic alternative. So while the measures the Communist Party takes can be fairly criticized as reducing the quality of their democracy, there's honestly no feasible more democratic alternative for Cuba at the moment either. Similar to Britain, who at one point had to ban elections completely from their island because you know who was across the sea threatening their society as well. Considering that flaw though, Cuba is still the most democratic nation in the Western Hemisphere, far more democratic than the liberal democracy of the US. And I'll make a follow-up video comparing it to, so if you're interested in that comparison, head over to my channel and check that out. With that being said, hope I was able to break down the process of Cuba's socialist democracy.